Namaste to all of you beautiful creators and seekers of truth and soul expansion. I am Kuan Yin and I am here with Lotus today. It is our honor to guide you through this first Merkavah experience of 2012 and beyond, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. A big welcome, Ascension Pioneers, from me, Lotus. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's attending tonight for adding your energy. If you can feel the same as we can this end, it's extremely intense.
Oh, yes.
So I don't think we're going to talk for that long before we go into the channeling. I'm almost shaking with the amount of energy.
Yeah.
It's proving to be quite an incredible feeling already, I have to say.
Definitely, definitely. So welcome to all of you. You are here with a lot today. A lot of you are here today is what I'm really wanting to say. But this is exactly what has been going on in my life. As you have been following us probably on Facebook and on the website and other means we have available to express ourselves online, you will know that we've gone through quite an intense time on Earth. Not just us here in Amsterdam, but everyone across the globe has been affected by quite some intense energies, going from solar flares to tachyonic storms to dolphin consciousness being born into the human consciousness, to Pleiadian DNA activations. And that's just a little tip of the iceberg, really, Lotus. If I have to say what is going on a larger scale, it's of course even more expanded than that. So as you were saying, a lot of energy has been built up for today's Merkavah training experience.
Incredible.
Incredible amount of energy. And just up until an hour before we were actually about to launch today, I have to say that the energies were so intense out there that I just had to decide to basically do some realigning of methods and building techniques, let's say, for this Merkavah structure that we are creating in order to be able to even simply take her out for the experience that we are about to have, let's say. So it's been quite intense, and the universe around us, ladies and gentlemen, is changing continually. And it's beautiful that it's happening. Of course, it also means that your physical form and your inner selves and all of your dimensional aspects are also continually going through a change. For some of you who have been following my newsletters lately and my posts on the Premier section of the website, you'll know that what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the human physical form is I've described it actually as a flickering state, if you will, flashing in and out of existence on a quantum subatomic level, if you will, of the entire human being. And this is happening several millions of trillions of times per nanosecond. And that's just an estimate that I've described on the board earlier in order to be able to make something...
You need a Dharmas for the exact figure, do you?
Well, yeah, actually I do, but to just give you some sort of sense
that's incredible.
Of what is really happening, which actually means that you are existing on so many dimensional levels at the same time right now, and that you are continually flicking in and out of this one, the third dimension that we are currently in. And what is guiding that is your thought processes. So that literally means that if you are in a good space with your thoughts, if you are choosing the magic carpet ride instead of the mental vulture ride, let's say, because thoughts can be either, then you are going to have a beautiful and uplifting multidimensional experience. But if you are going to decide to stay stuck on negative thinking or old third dimensional patterning and thinking that sort of thoughts, then you're going to be caught and attacked by mental vultures, literally.
So it's really like the intensity in either direction is entirely dependent on the way you choose.
The intensity is going to be there in either direction, but it's you that have a choice which direction you are going to go. But don't think that the right direction is necessarily to find a space of calm and quiet, because that could also be a subfrequential reality created by the mental makeup or the matrix, let's say, to lull you into a false sense of security. Because as far as my observations go, there is no quiet space in the universe right now, or in the dimensions right now to go to with everything that's been happening lately. But it's a beautiful time, though, to be alive, although I have to say that I have been receiving a lot of your emails and that you all have been talking about heavy times that you're going through, sometimes simply on the physical level, sometimes on the whether you can be asleep at night or not. That's one that I've been going through lately. A lot of people have also been reporting deep and strong feelings of depression and sadness, and even a desire sometimes to want to give up because of not knowing which direction to go. And before we go into everything that we are going to do here tonight, I just wanted to make it clear to all of you, our beloved brothers and sisters out there, that what you are feeling is absolutely normal. Do not worry too much about the depth of your depressions or the depth of the intensity that you are feeling. And of course, when I say do not worry, I do understand that you are going through this, because I am going through it myself. Only this morning, and almost every morning I come back into the body these days, I experience a heaviness that is very much unlike me. However, I will say that there are things that we can do to remove this heaviness from ourselves, be around those that we love, whether that's in the physical or whether that's in the energy realms, that doesn't matter, but being around energies that love and understand us and that share the same vision that we have is very important right now. And I'll tell you why. It's important because this is the time, this year actually, and a little bit after that, but most specifically this year, is the time that you are literally choosing what dimensional portal you are going through and who you are going through it with. Do you understand? So this is a year that's truly about making some very decent choices for yourselves, choices, let's say, that are no longer based on how shall I say, old patterning or repetitiveness that's been plaguing the human mind since its very matrix-based inception, let's say. So if you can simply be in that space, that will already give you a lot of assistance, because the depth of the intensity is specifically for a state of feeling heavy or depressed is coming from the complete difference in pressure, let's say, between the dimensions that we are constantly navigating through right now, even in this second, even in the following second, and the next, and the next, and the next. You are currently flipping in and out of so many different aspects of yourself, and therefore so many different dimensions of yourself, that it's almost not funny. You know what I mean?
I see.
It's not funny because we are not used to it here on this planet. You've had a long period of a very dense run of slow movement forward that is now simply coming to an end. You know, and it's being reported everywhere. It's also being reported even in the third dimensional, we still call it the third dimensional density, actually it's more the fourth dimensional density of mainstream media and other places on Earth, other methods and such of moving information to the public. You are seeing constant streams of changes taking place on economical structures, political structures, people's lives being rooted up and changed overnight. And then, of course, we can attack or hate the so-called negative side, the so-called dark side, the so-called banks, etc., the so-called Illuminati that is doing all of that. But there's also the aspect where you can look at yourself and say, I probably am needing to move my energy. I'm probably needing to now move to the space I truly have to be at when I am going through this amazing process that we are in.
I think so. If you just experience this amount of intensity in either direction, then it seems very much a common sense choice to choose for the more positive ascending intensity than the old world negativity. So
exactly, because
in these times,
it's also the only way you are going to even bring that positivity into the old world. You know, you can't step into that world by becoming a part of it, by actually going into its thought realms. The only thing, and this is of course why we are coming together today, and a lot of you are going to learn all of this for the first time. This is of course why we are going into the Merkavah experience, exactly because it allows you to carry your own energy field with you wherever you go, and to actually not be affected by everything around you. And of course it takes a little bit of practice, but everyone will get there, I'm sure, over time.
Oh yes, there's extremely tangible results to be had very quickly if you practice exercises such as moving energy around and you begin to spin your Merkabah. Mm-hmm. You definitely will very quickly have much more control over your local universe and be less affected by this type of intensity we see energetically at the moment.
Yes, very much so. And the intensity, as I was already saying, is everywhere. And just to conclude our first little segment here for today, before we prepare for the channel and what is to come, let me just say that it isn't going to diminish either. It is going to get more intense in the course of this year, and it is getting more intense with every passing cycle. But also at the same time, of course, you are changing with every passing cycle, and you are becoming more able to deal with a more rapid stream of life force coming through you, a more total wholeness of self, let's say. So that is really why there is a little bit of a hiccup right now within everyone that is going through a bit of a hard time with all of this new energy, because even this body that I'm in is having its issues deciding really what sort of program it is going to be running in the next little time. Sometimes for a period of time the body seems to be doing all right in this energy, and it seems to be running let's say the new paradigm, and then all of a sudden it seems to revert back to the old paradigm, and there's not much that you can do about that. That's just something that you have to take with you as you go along, and eventually you'll notice that it is no longer there as you have simply focused only on where you need to go, only on where you decide to put your energy. Then you will see that all of these things fall away very quickly. But anyway, I am noticing that I'm rambling. and this is exactly one of the things I have been saying that has been happening to me. It's been very difficult to gracefully position my energy into the environment I am in. Let's say it's like everything is just a little bit more sluggish. So that of course creates a very strong feeling of safety for everyone who is going to be having to fly in a sluggish Merkavah.
Yeah. Make sure you fasten your seatbelts, everybody. Okay.
It might also have something to do with all of these pyramids that One-ish has been building lately. Actually, we are currently drinking water that has been in one of Wanish's pyramids that she's built recently, and it's amazing to see the difference
Absolutely
in the life force, isn't it?
Incredible difference in the water. I was amazed, actually.
We'll definitely be looking for some information to put out on our Imzaia reports for all of you if you are interested in using pyramid technology as well for your improvement of your lives, let's say, because it doesn't just improve your local universe around you by having these structures in your space. It also actually is a perfect tool to cleanse and enhance supplements that you might be taking, or simply water, or simply food, or anything, or basically to put your body in it yourself and go through the empowering process that the pyramid energies have to offer. It's interesting as well that Wanish has been building these pyramids because of all of the attention that we've been putting on the Merkavah structure and the Merkavah structure lately. Because for those of you that are completely new to all of this, let me tell you that a Merkavah is nothing else but your own light body. And that light body is made up of two pyramid structures that are simply slid into one another. If you simply go to Google on the internet and type in Merkavah, then you'll find thousands and thousands of representations of what it actually looks like, in case you haven't ever laid your eyes on one of them yet. But it is all to do with these pyramid structures. The Merkavah, the light body that you sit in, has pyramid structures in order to allow you to funnel energy from one dimension into the other. So either to funnel dimensional energy from your current local universe out into other spaces if you want to go out of body, or if you want to travel, or any of those things, or to bring energy in from other dimensional realities into your own. Within geometry, a pyramid structure is always necessary in order to create a portal opening that flows in both directions. That is a very important thing to know. Now, a lot of people will say, but portals, like for instance the sun and others, are usually round, aren't they? That is true, but that's only when you are observing it from a distance, let's say.
Okay.
Once you get close enough to it, you will actually see that that circle or that sphere that you're about to travel through is made up of tons and tons and tons of little squares, little triangles that that actually create the opening, the energetic opening to travel in. If you look at the geometry of a pyramid, it's actually very simple, isn't it? You actually see the funneling already towards a central point and then through that central point. It's interesting. I'm looking at our control panel of the webinar right now, and actually it's the same for one of these play buttons, isn't it, that you use in your modern devices lately. It's again a pyramid structure aimed to what humanity's mind these days considered forward, namely the right. And it again is a funnel into movement. So that is what it means to the human psyche, and therefore also to the human body and to the human energy system. So if you surround yourselves with pyramid-like structures that have the Egyptian Cheops structure, let's say, set into its coordinates, then you will find benefits throughout your entire energy structure, your physical structure, and your mental structure. It's quite an amazing thing, and especially for those that are ready to go into more of an interdimensional experience by surrounding yourselves with pyramids. And even if you don't go out into stores or anything, buying all of these pyramids made of orgonite or quartz crystal, or even if you don't build one yourself, simply by going into a place of stillness that once was described as meditation, and by placing a pyramid around you, by simply imagining it, by simply intending it, by simply wanting it, that also will assist you to open up to a more interdimensional and geometrical structure, and to activate physical, mental, emotional, energetic, soul healing processes if necessary, aligning your energy to where it has to be in the playing field today, right now, to be at your best for what you are doing. It's that simple. So that just as a little bit of a reminder what geometries are and what you can do with them. Of course, we could talk about the square and we could talk about all of these different geometries, but that will come at a later point. Before we go into today's channeling, I do want to remind everyone that we are in an interactive webinar, and that means that most likely after the channel and before we go into the actual Merkavah experience, you have a chance to raise your hand on the control panel in front of you, if you are here with us live anyway, and to ask your questions, not of Isis, not of Ziona, but of me. You'll have to settle with me after the actual channel today, but I will give you about 15 to 20 minutes of a chance to ask your questions before we go into the actual experience. And one last thing, this is a private and personal experience that we are undergoing here tonight. With private, I don't mean that you cannot share it with friends or loved ones if you so seek, but I do mean that we are asking you in this particular case for these particular trainings to not just turn around and take the MP3 file of the Premier subscriber section and pop it onto YouTube or anything like that. And we are not asking that for ourselves, really. We are asking that for all of you, because we want to at least have this space, these Merkavah trainings, where we can create a completely private and safe, sacred space for all of you to express yourselves, to ask your questions that do not get shared afterwards with the rest of humanity. Of course, our teleconferences that we are also regularly doing have kind of turned into a open and public forum, in the sense that we do feel the need afterwards, specifically because of Imzaia consciousness that comes in during the channeling, to share them with the world. But in this case, it's just you and us.
Okay. It's a private show this time.
So this really is nice water, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty.
I can really suggest this to all of you and recommend it to create one of these pyramids, and just try it with water. Try bottled water. You'll actually feel the difference, as no plastic particles remain in the actual molecular makeup of the water. Somehow they all separate again, whereas without the use of the pyramid it seems to just remain. And then of course you have techniques to remove all of that from your physical self anyway. And thank God that we are going where we are going, everyone, because very soon none of you will have to worry about any of these things affecting your bodies and such, because your bodies will simply be in a different state of beingness and won't be affected by any of that sort of stuff unless you choose to have that experience. So that's all good, huh?
It's all extremely good, isn't it? I mean, although it's intense, everything's moving in the right direction, and I just want to echo Kuan Yin's sentiment when she expressed that everything is happening as it should, everything is completely normal around these intense feelings, and for no one to really worry about that. Just come back to the heart space and everything is always all right. It's always the answer.
Yeah, it's true. That's always the answer. So,
is there something you want to...
No. I'm actually just looking through the questions here, seeing if anyone has put in a question to the message board here, but it doesn't seem to be. There seems to be one person right now Bernadette, who's having an issue with her speakers in the sense that she cannot hear us. If there is anyone else that has the same problem, let us know, and we'll see what we can do about it. You can simply put onto the question board here whether you have an issue or whether you are hearing us clearly. I do want to figure this out before we go into the channel.
Yeah.
Because I don't want everyone to hear Isis and Ziona underwater, because that is what Bernadette is pointing out here, that it seems like we are talking underwater. So is there anyone else out there listening right now? Oh, okay. Amy is saying that it is clear in Johannesburg.
Okay, well, that's good to hear that.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So I'm just going to go into one question here, Patricia, that maybe you can read. Patricia Cardona from Mexico.
Okay. Patricia says, how can this Merkavah be used beyond this experience? Are there any cosmic rules regarding this?
Beyond this experience, there are no rules, Patricia. Within this experience, there are no rules either, I have to say. You can do anything with the Merkavah experience, because you can do everything that you want to do with your Merkabah experience. The only difference between the Merkabah and the Merkavah is that the Merkabah is your own personal light body, and that the Merkavah is a connection of several light bodies coming together in one geometry. In the case of Imzaia's Merkavah, the main geometry that is being used is the flower of life, overlaid with some other patterning and some other necessary geometries to make the whole thing tick and actually work the way it does. And that's, of course, ascended knowledge and ascended information that does do that. And that's one of the things that Isis is going to be talking about together with Ziona in just a little while here. But technically speaking, you can do and work with the Merkabah in any way you see fit. That means you can use it to work on your own personal body. You can use it to work on your local universe. You can even use it to work on the entire planet, on the entire universe, if you want to. That's the beauty about it. Once it is created, even though we will keep coming together on regular intervals when energy allows it, in order to do specific and carry out specific assignments, you, in your own private space, whenever you basically want to, can call upon the Merkavah field, and at that point in time, everyone else that is connected to it will start working with you on a soul level. So that doesn't mean you have to start calling everyone all over the world and ask them to carry something out, but everyone all over the world that is connected to the Merkavah that we are creating will at that point have a soul choice, a chance for themselves to decide whether in this occasion they're going to be working with you or not. And if they decide not to, that actually doesn't take away from the energy of the Merkavah, because it has been created in its own sovereign image. Once it exists, it is its own creator. Once the Merkavah exists, we, all of us together, are no longer just its creators. It is its own creator. It's its own sovereign being. It actually is a living being that is the child, if you will, of all of us together. So we are all giving a little bit of our infinite energy that does not get taken from us in any sort of way, but let's say more it's like copying a unique pattern, like a fingerprint or something, from your own energy field, and putting that all together with everyone else that decides to connect to the Merkavah at some point, even in the future. And that is what creates the field. So therefore you are considered by our Merkavah a very intimate being because you are part of its makeup. It's similar to how humans think about, let's say, for instance, the Pleiades. The Pleiades are one of our parental races. Some of their DNA literally was placed into some of your own DNA. So if you ever were to meet a Pleiadian, which at some point in time I'm sure you will, if you haven't already, then there will be a great sense of recognition. Whether you are experiencing this from within in meditation or in interdimensional contact, or whether you are experiencing it in interdimensional contact, actually in the external universe, the sense of recognition is great. And it's the same for the Merkavah energy that we are creating towards all of you who are responsible for its creation. So it will always want to work with you, but you as individuals are individually able to make a sovereign choice in the moment when one of us is going to use the Merkavah field. I hope that makes a little bit of sense here, right?
I think that's an absolutely fantastic answer. I'm sure Patricia is extremely happy with that. It's very clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that I'm very sorry for Bernadette right now because I'm getting signals from the Netherlands, from Turkey, from Portugal, from America, Australia, US again here, that it seems that everyone is picking up the signal correctly. So, Bernadette, what we are going to do in this moment, if you can't hear us right now, you're definitely going to hear us afterwards on the Premier subscriber section of Imzaia.com. So you're not being left behind, sweetheart. What we are all going to do right now is just take 10 seconds or so to just focus all of our energies onto her local universe to either break the problem or to simply include her energy into what is going to happen in the channeling and later on in the Merkavah experience itself. So if you are hearing this at a later time, Bernadette, we are with you, all right? And you are with us. You can do this by simply taking your right hand and taking your middle finger and your thumb and putting them together in a circle, let's say. This causes the heart chakra to connect to basically the chakra of everyone else on the planet. Isn't that cool? You can't say it's not effective, and
Yeah. It's very good value for money, though.
yes, very minimal activity for what you get. Especially if you do it in both hands, you connect to everyone else in all of dimensions throughout time and space. And if that doesn't make you sweat, I don't know what does. So keep your both middle fingers and thumbs connected and take your right hand and simply put your circle created by your middle finger and your thumb onto your heart. And in this moment, inhabit your pineal gland. Focus yourself onto the center of your head. And either you have seen an image of Bernadette in the last weeks, or if you haven't, simply visualize her name, Bernadette Vago, right now. Oh, by the way, it's 2 T's. And allow your pineal gland to send out what could almost be conceived as a laser beam signal out into space in front of you. Right now, being a little chaotic still perhaps, but very soon when our Merkavah is fully created, whenever you do this, whenever you decide to let this laser beam shoot out of your pineal gland, where it goes is into the geometrical realms. Where it goes is right into the center of the Merkavah. Wherever you are oriented, whatever direction you are in, whatever planet you are on, whether you are in a physical state or not, it just shoots out and straight into the geometrical Merkavah pattern. This can happen because actually the universe around you is quite small. This can happen because the achinaic space around you, what today is being called the torus field around you, is actually only a few feet away from you, its wall. So where you are actually aiming, whatever direction you are aiming at, you're hitting your achinaic wall right in front of you. This achinaic wall is made up of free energy particles, and free energy particles are, Lotus, what shape?
Triangular.
Triangular. There you go. Therefore, they're portalic.
Yes.
That's a new metallic. Portalic.
I like it.
I like it. Could be the name of a band, couldn't it? You should call some of your achinaic friends. Maybe Nathan would be interested.
Metal up.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, so this energy, this achinaic wall, because of its triangular structure each time is portalic, which means it can allow energy to move through it. So your pineal energy moves through it straight into the tachyonic field as the actual wall, straight into the geometrical field that is behind it, and that's exactly where our Merkavah from this day forth will be parked.
I see.
So that's kind of how it works. Actually, as you are going through the next few months with us, you are going to understand that northeast, south, and west are actually quite important as directions from always taken from your pineal's north, let's say, wherever you are aiming. What I mean with that is the dimensions are happening all around you. For instance, it matters for you to know that no matter where you are looking around you, where you are, that actually only a few feet or a few meters, whatever you like to say, away from you, even though it is invisible, is this geometrical field that is our Merkavah. And it's right ahead, you know? It's pretty cool to know. It's also cool to know, for instance, that at certain angles, certain degrees angled upward or left or right, northeast, southwest, up or down, within your Merkabah body, you can access all of these different dimensions. What if I told you that once you really know what you are doing, and you will know what you are doing this year, by the way, that to travel in time or space or any dimension, especially when you get a bit better at what you are learning right now, is as simple as lifting your hand up at a certain angle. Can you see? Do you understand what that means? I'm actually talking to you.
Very
Sorry,
much so,
I was also connected to everyone out there, but
yeah, well, for me, certainly the exercise of moving energy around now for some years has given me an understanding of what it feels like to be inside that Merkabah space.
Yes.
And to plot these different dimensions, especially from north. As you know, I've begun to plot these for myself now and see these lights and geometries with such a regularity that I can tell which dimension it is, whether it's good or bad. Yes. So obviously I understand. I mean, I hope other people do out there. If not, it's certainly something you will understand or come to understand soon.
well, today, of course, is only an introductory session to all of this, even though there will be a very powerful channel in a little while and a very powerful activation. Focused, by the way, on Gerben, who is from the Netherlands, who is with us today, and I'm going to talk about all of that in just a little while. But as time goes on, you will be working with us actually through video contact as well. So as time goes on, we're going to work with smaller groups of all of you, groups of about 12 to 15 people, probably 12 each time. What Lotus and I are going to do for these Merkavah recordings is that we are going to have a part of each session that is going to be similar for every group that we are going to work with for that particular session. It could be, for instance, ISIS's channel or whatever comes in with the first group that we're going to be working with. And then there's a second part to each session where we get individual with all of you and where we go into the actual activations and practices that we do. So very soon, if you don't know what moving energy around is all about, or if you don't know what a Merkabah looks like visually or how to spin these things, don't worry too much. Very soon from now, we'll be in sessions with, as I already said, 12 of you, and you'll be able to all see each other and us, and we'll be able to see you and interact with all of you. That's all part of the system that we have here. But because we have a larger group with us today, we can only go audio. So I'm looking forward to that a lot, for everyone out there to learn all of these exercises. And of course, an even more amazing experience is when we can do it with you live, physically in the room, when we can actually come to you in the form of a seminar or in the form of a house call and actually teach you in that sort of an environment. That's even more magical.
Yeah, to be in the physical and really experience the energy firsthand is a very different experience. There's no two ways about that.
Exactly. So I see that Amy Hughes from South Africa put a quick question on the board that maybe you can read, Lotus.
She says, is that all we have to do to work with Merkavah practically, is call upon it?
Actually, Amy, yes. You simply have to call upon it. I've just already explained, of course, that it's literally a few feet away from you, right in front of your eyes. It's always there. Whatever direction you are looking at, your own personal north. That's basically the direction that the Merkabah is in. So once you focus on that area in front of you, you're actually focusing on the Merkavah. That is our creation. So that is all you have to do. Good question, because it's quite important to know.
Yes, absolutely. And so many things are just about the intention, isn't it? And the belief systems that squash these understandings often stop people believing that it's as easy as it is, truly.
Exactly. Maria Garcia, lovely name. Hello, Maria, is asking us, how will it be for people who join the Merkavah training in the future?
Well, I suppose we could consider that there's never going to be one fixed point or number of points of consciousness inside the Merkavah. So
exactly. Exactly. Actually, Maria, a Merkavah is a timeless and spaceless field. So technically speaking, even though this may be a bit difficult for you all linearly to understand, right now within the Merkavah space itself, everyone who is at one point in the linear future going to connect to it is already connected to it once you go beyond time and space, which actually is going to lead to quite some funny situations, I would imagine, because you're probably going to be ending up meeting people on the street or in your environment somehow, especially if you are people that connect a lot to spiritual explorers and ascension pioneers and things like that, that are already connected to the Merkavah's energy, while technically speaking having nothing to do with it yet in their lives.
Yeah.
I have this all the time, actually. Sometimes it's really funny for me. Just recently, I was on the Crimson Circle Facebook page, and I had a little run-in with Shaumbra, let's say, in the sense that 150 of them asked me to leave, which is good from an ascended perspective. If you can get that sort of reaction, you're moving some energy, baby.
Yeah.
But anyway, it wasn't my intent to create that sort of energy, of course. But I'm bringing it up right now because it's so funny that I have seen some of these people that were extremely, extremely negative about Imzaia's work right now. And I know that they are in our Merkavah. I know that they are going to connect to it. And I know that they're going through the ascension process using Imzaia's teachings at some point in the future. So it's extremely funny to see that sort of thing happen.
And comforting too, as well, from that level of an overview.
Mostly funny, though.
It's funny too.
It's always comforting, of course, but it's especially funny because you see all of these people having a struggle with their personalities, and you just know that one day you're going to have a good laugh at it, about it together.
Oh, that's great.
So that's the good news, and that's why it's funny.
Yeah, that is good news.
Anyway, let's see if Bernadette can hear us.
Oh, great.
Great.
So, well done, everybody.
Yes, it seems like we were successful in our attempts.
Excellent.
To bring Bernadette into the group.
Excellent stuff.
That's wonderful. Let's see. Is there anything else? There are a few more people that are indicating right now that they're having some issues hearing us fully. What we are going to do as such is take a little break, maybe 5-minute break or something. And we are going to see what we can do about this. We are going to ask all of you again, energetically, to simply focus yourselves by connecting your middle finger and your thumb. Remind yourselves that if you do this in the right hand, you're literally connecting to every akene within the same gravitational field that you are currently experiencing, which is Earth. When you do it with the addition of the left hand, you are connecting every akene in creation. And you're basically got your akeneic interdimensional cell phone right there. Your ability to connect to all of life. All you have to do is believe it. All you have to do is lift yourselves out of the dull and linear space that you have allowed yourselves to become trapped in, and dream again with the magic of a child. Before you know it, you will see that those around you in your, let's say, supporting universe, those around you in your supporting universe will start to show the signs of this being real in your life very quickly. But don't be frightened if at first you get quite a strong reaction once you start believing in the magical reality once again. Let's not forget that those around you are programmed, just like you were once programmed, to keep everyone else asleep together with you. So, knowing all of that, once both of your middle fingers and thumbs are connected, left hand and right hand, take the right hand and place it onto your heart. Focus on your pineal and allow the energy to just flow out of you. Do this for a few minutes perhaps. We will be back in about 5, and we love you. Namaste. Welcome back, everybody, to our second part of today's Merkavah Training. We are the 17th of April today, and I'm very happy to be with you all again.
Hello again, everybody.
I hope that we have fixed the sound issues in the meantime. In case any of you are still having issues with sound, all I can say at this point in time, because ISIS is very keen to come in in the next few minutes, really, is that if you do still have a problem with sound, which means that you probably won't hear me right now, anyway, but for those that have a problem with sound, we're going to have to go with the fact that it's going to be made available, or the recording anyway is going to be made available on the Premiere section of Imzaia.com, so that people that are not able to listen in right now live are able to listen in later. I do know that the problem is not with GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting.com, the system that we are currently using and paying for, I might say, because everything is working perfectly on this board and everything is working perfectly with our internet connection. So it must be your end. So for those of you that are having issues, maybe it would be a good idea to check your internet connection or your computer system in the future. We will also do that on our end deeper still. However, at first glance, I can't see any problem with the system that we are using. So
No. And I'd just like to add to that, the energy of the Merkavah, of course, is beyond time and space. And if you are experiencing difficulties in hearing this live, it won't affect your experience when you hear it recorded.
No. And I'm already seeing actually that someone from the Netherlands and someone from Turkey is saying that we are having better sound right now. So
Okay, good.
that's good. Okay, without further ado, why don't you set the energy, Lotus, and I prepare myself to bring in the beloved intensity of Isis, and later on Ziona.
Okay, it'll be my pleasure.
After which we'll probably have a little bit of another break for 5 minutes or so, and then we'll come back to answer a few of your questions and to go into the Merkavah activation for today. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So I'll see you all on the flip side. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, everybody, as we prepare for this channeling, get yourself into a comfortable position. Just relax the shoulders and the neck. Become yourself. Allow thoughts to fall away. And take a few deep breaths. As you focus on your heart center, place your middle finger of your right hand on the Akine and begin to breathe deeply into this space. Breathe in love and feel the magnificence of this energy in every single particle of the body. As it expands from the center and grows outwards, it encompasses your entire body and surrounds you in a spherical container of love. Continue to breathe deeply and feel this energy more and more deeply, more and more intensely, with the purity of love through your own breath. As we prepare to accept the words of Isis.
All right. Greetings all. This is Isis. It is my great honor to be here with all of you today, those within the 21st century realms that open themselves up right now for ancient and timeless study and wisdom and information. Arriving in this body today, as Lotus was preparing the energies of all of you to align with mine, it was interesting to see your way of turning everything into a modern day concept, and how it makes it easier at that point in time for you to understand some of the more timeless concepts that you have been introduced to recently. Let's say, for instance, upon my entry here today, I heard you all speak of this spherical container of love. I hear that some artistic expressions of the One even have made images about this very spherical container of love. And isn't it interesting, though, that this concept you understand, yet if we had said a Merkavah is now surrounding everything, you probably would have had a little bit of issues to understand exactly what that meant, at least on a feeling level. So, yes, Imzaia, a spherical container of love, is a good description of what this Merkavah energy, and specifically the Merkabah energy, is all about. Today, I will give you an overview of the history of your Merkabah and the Merkavah that you are about to create. And for that, I must take you back quite a long while. Not into history, but into a time before history began. Yes, beloved human explorers, history is a finite concept. History does have a beginning, it does have a middle, and it does, thank God, have an end. Coming up soon to a planet near you. Very near. So history is a mental concept. It is designed to make you believe that you are on a path somewhere, and you are not. It is designed to make you believe that your society, your culture, is on a evolutionary expression of itself somehow. But it is not. It loops, and it loops, and it loops. And there is a reason for that limitation. There is a reason why history is mental, and why history, therefore, has a beginning and an end. I will talk about this later in my little moment here with you all today. But let me take you back to a moment before history began. And in that moment, You do not find yourselves in a matrix. You do not find yourselves in physical bodies. You do not find yourselves in even energy-based bodies. You find yourselves an interdimensional cloud of consciousness and awareness, made up, by the way, of all of these lives that you have now made yourselves believe that you are living. They can be traced back and forth. There's a link between what you once were and what you have now expressed within this matrix, which is when history began, by the way. So before that, then, we have you in what can metaphorically be described as a gaseous state. It has also been described as a fluid state. It has been described, I'm sure, in many different sorts of ways. But you cannot properly understand it, and you never will until you once again return to this state, because of history. Again, I will explain this later. So, here you are, this cloud-like being that literally has no boundaries, that literally has no parameters, that literally has no dimensional walls, that literally is not restricted to holographic travel, to be inside a hologram, that is open, that is a universe unto its own, that is a sovereign creator. Yes. Yes. Those of you that are paying attention will know what I've just said. If what I just said is correct, that means that you were a creator before you had a creator. Make sense? You had a creator only afterwards, only after you were already created. And at that point, you were already a creator because you had created you in the state that we are now going back to in order to start the overview of the tale of the Merkabah and the Merkavah that I want to share with you. Imagine that. The being that throughout history, and even in New Age circles, by the way, has been called God, Creator, Source, all of that. In truth, could be considered a portal being that you have traveled through or into, Jonah and the whale, let's say. And that is what you consider your original creator. It is a being that, in Lemuria, as the Imzaia teachings have shown you, is called Menei Ani Ish. In Atlantean teachings, during those times, it was called Menaxi. It was the name in the Atlantean realms to describe the reality that you are currently in. Eventually it got turned into Maya by certain cultures. And today, in, again, your very, how shall I say, expressively modern culture, you call it the Matrix. But it's the same being. supposedly your original creator. And yet it has no interest in being your original creator. None whatsoever. It is as stuck as you are. You know this. This has been explained before, and this is being solved. However, there was a creator before this being became yours. And that creator was you. So, if you go back to that state, just for a second, then very quickly you would become quite paranoid and uncomfortable, because you are not used to being in a state with no up, down, left, right, forward, backward, time, space. Yet, there it is. It is within that space that you will learn to navigate not only your Merkavah, but also your Merkabah. You see, when you boil it all down to the basics, then of course you all know that within concepts such as reality and therefore magic, life itself, there is no good or bad. From my personal perspective, during my time on earth, in Egypt, but also prior to that, I did not consider the space that we exist in right now, that we speak to you in right now, a negative space. I didn't consider it a positive space either. In fact, there was nothing I considered positive or negative, which is probably why I am often depicted supposedly stone cold, or as you call it these days in your modern day terminology, a bitch. Who's your mama? So, no negativity, no positivity. Difficult to deal with, because imagine how often your mind would have to function differently without positive or negative, up or down, left or right, good or wrong. And yet, it is possible for the mind to function without these parameters in place. Imzaia. Traversing reality in the form of Merkabah, and especially in the form of Merkavah, means that you drop these quantifications, these parameters, these limitations. Literally, as you step on board, they cannot go with you, otherwise you are not on board. You are fooling yourself that you are. Of course, like with everything else, the mind has an ability to create the idea that you are indeed in a Merkavah space, but if you are in it, whence you will be doing the experience with Kuan Yin later on, once you are in it, and you can say what is up, down, left, right, good, wrong, black, white, all of that stuff, I, Isis, tell you now that you have not fully entered the space of Merkavah. So, it is something to get used to. History started when the concept of a creator was pushed upon a creator. History started when you were made to believe that you had been created. Now, I already said that there is no right or wrong. and that I did not personally look upon the matrix as a right or wrong concept. Reason is this: even though you are going back to a state that I have just described as expansion and as spacelessness, timelessness, fluidity, cloudiness, you do not exactly go back to the same type of existence that once you had prior to the Matrix experience coming along. I say the Matrix is not right or wrong because it did bring you and all of us an evolutionary advancement to our soul. And this is why I started today's talk about spherical containers of love. Because what the Matrix did, if one thing it did good to your evolutionary process, it is this: it taught you to contain yourself. And that, for beings who are becoming once again infinite, is a very good thing. It is in the Matrix that the inner dimensions, Imzaia, were born. Do you understand that? As a cloud-like, unrestricted being, lured in through the creator portal that we call Menea Ani-ish in your studies, entering through the triangular vortex, as the limitlessness that was you started to become suppressed, which is typically what happens when you move through a black hole, throughout time, in order to learn how to keep yourselves safe, to keep yourselves to some semblance of what you once were before you entered that which we call the Matrix, a field started to be created. A spherical container. The concept of love. The concept of magnetics. And therefore the concept of geometrics. Completely created again within Matrix reality. All of these things, by the way, you are going to take out of it and keep with you as you move on. This field that started taking shape around you is when time began. Is when the first pointings of evidence, if you will, of space began. And then we come to an interesting point. Because if you take what I have just said literally, then what you will take with you from it, is that time and space, and therefore the laws of physics, are depending on you and on the field that is directly surrounding you. The field that you have just called the spherical container of love, but that in truth is the Merkavah. Through this type of containment, you have been compressed, yes. Has it been a nasty experience? Yes. But, again, only from a mindset that tells you that there is such a thing as good or bad. Is giving birth to a child the head the size of a small basketball a pleasant experience? Probably not for most. Is it considered a negative one? No. There you go. That means that mind can put a positive parameter on a negative experience. And that means that there are no such things as positive or negative experience. There is only a label to define these things as positive or negative. The reason that you started labeling things, by the way, the reason that you started naming things, containing things, again, the continuation of the original patterning of trying to defend and protect yourselves. Let me turn it into a different sort of visual for a moment. Imagine that you are on a field and you need to explore this field, square field, let's say, somewhere in nature, fully and thoroughly before you move away from it. And when I say fully and thoroughly, I'm talking about every little piece of it. So then you can decide that you are either going to dig up the field with a shovel, may take you a while, or you can decide to change your physical structure and harmonize with the field and flow into it. This is exactly what you have done. So you're entering the matrix, even though it has been called a trap, or even I said earlier that you have been lured into it. While that may be true, it is, at the end of the day, the depth of your compassion that made you cooperate with what was happening. You see, think of it this way. There is a universe around you. You are inside of that universe. That universe once was physically smaller than your own physical body is right now, and then it expanded a bit. When it did, it started up a process of history in which history literally must repeat itself, in which literally that which is inside of the expansion will start to mimic and repeat on a smaller scale because of holographic physics the same expansion, the same evolution than the host body it is finding itself in. In your case, you went into a being with restrictions which had been restricted. Therefore, your own infinite self became restricted. You entered through a portal being into this matrix, meaning that at that point, the field that started to surround you as you became limited became made up of these triangular structures that you today call pyramids. As the field that surrounds you took shape and became its most streamlined version of itself, you ended up with the Merkabah that you have today, the typical structure that you have today. However, considering you are a representation of the universe that you are in, or in other words, you are patterned to resemble the universe that you are in, you within your own spherical container, your own boundaries, have gone through the process of the in-breath and the out-breath, similar to the universe. The in-breath leading to the Big Bang and the out-breath leading to the expansion of what you call reality around you. The Merkabah space and everything that is contained within it is currently going through the same process and is at the end stage. Part of that process is separating yourself into dimensions. These, as I have explained, are the inner dimensions that you have created. It is within these inner dimensions that the Merkavah space comes into existence. Do you understand? If you understand, then close your eyes for 2 minutes and explain to yourself in your own visuals everything I have just shared with you. Good. That didn't take 2 minutes. You are faster than you think you are, Imzaia. Probably because of the activation of some of your brain structure throughout the physical body. So, if you know why the Merkabah, the field surrounding you, exists and what it has done, the creation of the inner dimensions, then we must actually come to the conclusion that the matrix, even though not so at first sight, has caused expansion to occur. The Merkabah and the causative Merkavah that follows it is not just a handy tool within the current reality and dimensional structures that you are in today. In fact, it is a handy tool once you get into the holographic reality itself and out of matrix-based reality itself. You will notice that once you move beyond history, beyond the finite line that you are currently on, that the creation of the Merkabah around you has changed the nature of the hologram itself, considering each of you is a particle within that hologram and therefore the whole. So what has been going on here at the same time is going on in akeneic space or holographic space, and is also coming to a conclusion. So evolution has been experienced everywhere. Once you will have created the Merkavah body between all of you, what you will start to notice are changes as to how you perceive the universe. Sensory perception. Your visual restrictions will start to intrigue you rather than annoy you. And you will start to notice that what you thought you were seeing is not necessarily that which has always been there. What I mean to say is that in truth, there are more glitches and mistakes and little areas where things within the matrix fabric just does not line up, surrounding you constantly than you thought. Humans often think of places such as the Bermuda Triangle or that sort of thing. But this energy pattern that causes openings in dimensional walls to occur, or that causes glitches in the matrix to take place, are always surrounding you, everywhere. Even right now, if you were to look right in front of you or around, let's say for instance you are looking at your curtains and the separating line between your curtains and the wall. At that point in time, your matrix-based program or brain will make it appear so that what you are seeing is, well, exactly what you are seeing, or what you think you are seeing, but it isn't. There is more of a fault than what you can currently see. So your mind is erasing and blind spotting a lot of these mistakes for you. In reality, you do this because you are so used to what you are seeing. And therefore, you do not see what is really there. It is why cats, for instance, or young children, such as babies, can have fascinations towards spaces that to you seem empty and void of any interest or life. But that is not necessarily so, is it? You all know that, to say the least. So on all of these levels, the firewall or the antivirus program, or what should I say, that keeps the dimensional walls in place because of the strong presence of, to this day, an almost unlimited amount of inner dimensions, is breaking down. Hence, you are hearing things, seeing things, sensing things, feeling things, touching things that are literally not in your dimension. And this is a new experience, because this did not used to happen to the human being. Ever since Atlantis came to an end, this type of sensory power, if you will, has been only given to that which you call the magical ones, or the leaders, or the Wiccans, or that sort of thing. Back in my day, it was restricted to a very select few. Everything I am saying now is a modern day version of wisdom to that which you know to exist in information such as the law of one, as channeled and taught, back in my day taught, back in your day channeled, by Ra. By the time I lived my life, that law of one had already been ruptured, of course, and a power pyramid struggle had already started to unfold, which is exactly why I rose to power when I did, because it is what I played off of in order to be effective. However, if you will remember that there is no good or bad, Matrix simply cannot affect you. It is literally impossible for it to do so. It cannot penetrate beyond the realms of your Merkavah outline. By the way, creating a Merkavah space or a Merkavah field is beneficial to many of you that would still experience quite, how to say, a weak Merkabah field surrounding you, therefore flowing into everyone else's emotions, flowing into everyone else's dimensions that you don't want to. There are those among you that when touched physically will start to be influenced by the field that you are touching. All of that comes to an end when you connect your Merkabah often to the generic Merkavah field that you will create, because the energy of the Merkavah will start to strengthen and literally widen the space in which your personal light body or Merkabah spins. Your field of influence, even without connecting to Merkavah space, will increase. So, by the time this holographic container of love had become a stable structure around you in the shape and form that you know today, your history had taken you to the point that you know as Lemuria. It is there that beings such as yourselves first detected the Merkavah around them, because it is for the first time that the Merkavah had stabilized into the shape that you know it as today. This may come as a slight surprise to you, but even back then, and especially today still, you cannot see things that are not built up from a geometrical shape or from shapes that are geometrical. The pixels on the screen that you are looking at right now, most likely, for instance, are geometrical patterns. The molecular structures and the atomic and the quantum particles that are around you that make up everything that you are geometrically aligned structures to the sensory input that you can receive in the physical husk. So you will carry a restriction around the geometries that you can pick up. Once the Merkabah activates together with the Merkavah, which is what you will work on, the ability for you to pick up different geometrical types than simply the square, the circle, and the triangle will occur. They will start to come into your field. Geometrical restriction, the fact that you can only pick up 3 types of geometries, is why you as a human species can only pick up such a narrow bandwidth of light, that which you call visible light. Simply by adding geometrical structures into that which you can perceive, your universe widens. And even though the Merkavah is created mostly to assist others, which is what you will be doing this year, this, however, is the gift that you take away from it. That each time you do give of yourself in the form of these missions, what you take back is an expansion of yourself, because you will have explored deeper geometries that literally to you were previously unseen. This is also what will open up the outer dimensions to you once again. And you will see, beloved Imzaia, that once you do open up the outer dimensions, the beasties, the demons, the critters, all of that nasty stuff goes away. It goes away because guess what? They only exist in your inner, I-N-N-E-R, inner dimensional field. You, after all, have created these critters. It is what always has been said. So, I think that right now, with my little informal introduction to your tuition, you have enough to take away with you in this now moment to ponder, contemplate, integrate and learn from. Tomorrow, I will invite Kuan Yin and Lotus to bring in my energy once again. And I will tell you at that point in time the second part of what I wanted to tell you today. I will continue talking about Lemurian discovery of the Merkabah body, the eventual discovery in Lemuria of the Merkavah concept, which led, by the way, to the Great War. Interesting little detail. As Atlantis wanted to invade and know what it was that gave these Lemurians the sparkle in their eye. Interestingly enough, eventually, as years would pass, many millennia, what you now today know as Egypt is the remnants, or one of the remnants anyway, of the race that once was that which you call the Atlantean. Yet the royal pharaoh heritage to which I belonged is Lemurian in origin, which shows you that as Atlantis went down, their search had not completed. The search to know what made the Lemurian tick had not completed. And to this day, souls that once called themselves Atlanteans are on this exploratory evolution and bring with them quite some, or harbor quite some, negativity sometimes towards Lemurian life. This, of course, is an ancient little meaningless battle that those like myself have risen above. But again, more about all of this tomorrow. And one last thing I will talk about in that moment tomorrow, my own personal discovery of my first Merkavah experience and what I learned about myself, and a little concept that you have come to know recently as the higher soul. Once I had access to my totality, my entire way of reigning and working and existing on earth changed. And I am confident that when you, in the course of this year, on your journey with Imzaia and Kuan Yin and all of us, when you will have completed this journey, that you will see within yourself quite some surprising things about where you came from and especially where you are going, dear one. I look forward to seeing the integration take place within you and returning to you all here tomorrow, same time as you say, same place as you say, although That is a fallacy and a lie, considering you are traveling through space at quite a rate. For the continuation of this, I do hope, Imzaia, that you all show up and that you will not allow your little human problems or your little human schedules to come in the way for once. So often we laugh when we see you judge ascended life for not showing up where you want and when you want them to show up. And the main reason we laugh is that we would always be with you if you would simply decide that you are done with everything that you have requested us into your existence for. Maybe today is the day, but if not, then I'm sure that in the course of this year, I, Isis, will see you change. I bring you the love of everything magical and everything that is eternal and everlasting. I bring you eternal life, for I am only a mirror reminding you of that which you are. I am Isis. I shall continue tomorrow. Be with me. Don't be late. I love you. Namaste. Oh, and one more thing. That means that I expect from all of you that you take the time to integrate my words here tonight, and that you re-listen to them. And that means that Kuan Yin will have to put them out to you all tonight. And that means that after the conclusion of my session with you all tomorrow, I will remain inside of your head chakra in order to assist with the activation of your Merkavah. This activation commences now and will start to move into fruition by the time Kuan Yin takes you through it linearly tomorrow, focusing on the first mission, no doubt, to see that which is really there, is what I have talked to you about today. It is what your Merkabah, once it is spinning correctly and aligned with everyone else's, will do. It is what your Merkavah will allow you, and it is why I will see you again tomorrow. I am Isis, and I'm off now. Namaste.
May I take this opportunity to thank Isis for these words and ask everyone to stay in the space of integration. As we take a short break, be with you again shortly. Namaste.
Hello again, everyone.
Welcome back again, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that.
Here we are with part 3, which I think, according to, if I got the information that ISIS
Part
actually
3.1.
yeah. If I got the information that ISIS shared correctly, we are continuing tomorrow.
Yes. Apparently she wanted to share a lot more, and has invited everybody to rejoin again at the same time tomorrow to also, of course, have the activation immediately follow that, in which she said she'd be present in our first Kakras. So we have Isis in our first Kakras.
How lovely, isn't it? Oh, God. So how was the channel for you? Because I'm still not quite back, I have to admit. I'm very much all over the place right now. It was very intense for me.
It was intense for me as well to experience it sitting here. It was very technical, and it talked about a lot of huge... Well, I say very technical. I mean, basically, it talked about a lot of very challenging concepts to understand, very, very big concepts. Perhaps not explained technically, but in order to understand that, I do believe it would be a good idea for people to re-listen to that and really try and feel it. I thought the exercise she gave everyone, if you can remember or not, I don't know, but we were asked to visualise everything that had been said to us in a couple of minutes. That was very useful for me, and I would urge everyone to try and experience it that way, on a much more of a feeling level, than to try and interpret the words on a intellectual level and understand it that way, because of course we're talking about concepts which are extremely difficult for the mind to understand anyway.
Yes. And of course tomorrow, when we do get back together, I will give you a short overview, in my words, of everything Isis has been talking about today, because the way the channeling was structured for me geometrically is that there actually were only three main points that kept spinning around each other and kept enhancing each other in their expression and understanding. So tomorrow, once I've myself re-listened tonight to the channel, and of course I will put it online for everyone of you as Premier subscribers, I will explain in my own words exactly what Isis was talking about and what she was trying to say, just in case you didn't pick up everything. But I am not going to keep you too long now for this closing segment here today, because I've got quite some work ahead getting all of the audio recordings off our computer and into the editing suite and preparing it to upload to all of you, for all of you to use. As soon as I have it prepared tonight, I will email you through the Premier subscriber section of imzaia.com to let you know where you can find the files. You're going to be able to download these files and put them on your iPod and anywhere else you want to put them, so that you can truly work with them. I myself have to say that I've had quite an intense number of hours with you all so far. We've been on for about 2 hours now, just over, and it was quite intense, not just because of what we did here today, but also because of the energies. I thought actually that looking back in the last few days, starting the Merkavah build-up has been quite powerful, and I look forward to yet another cycle right now, this one, and the day cycle, that we will be able to build up the energy for what we are going to do tomorrow. Now, I can already tell you this, because I have already been given, if you will, the overview of the actual flight path for tomorrow. And once we have established the Merkavah, we are going to go into the inner dimensions, the inside dimensions of ourselves, the dimensions, as Isis has just explained, that have been created as we sliced ourselves up in order to mimic that which the matrix around us was doing. I'm just going to wait 1 second as the alarm here, as the ambulance here passes. I hope it's another baby been born on this planet Earth. So, but basically what I was saying is that the inner dimensions are that which we started splicing up of ourselves as we were mimicking the matrix inside of us. That is where we are going to go tomorrow. Now, you need to know that in those inner dimensions, everyone's physical matter, that means everyone's molecules, atoms, particles, all of that, of the physical body, is represented in that universe. Now, tomorrow we are going to work on site, as you all know. And this was all triggered by Gerben from the Netherlands, who asked us for assistance. So what we are going to do is we are taking the Merkavah into the inner dimensions, and we are going to the planetary systems that, or system I should say, that represents Gerben in that universe. And within that system, there will be the right planet or asteroid that we need to find within our inner dimensions that we will terraform, because the biggest problem with Gerben's eyes right now is that they keep drying out. So we are terraforming Gerben's eyes to start accepting fluids again, hydration again, and literally life force again. That's just a little bit of what we'll be doing tomorrow. Of course, it's going to go much deeper than that. And let's just remind everyone that this is not a fictional thing. This is not something that is up to fantasy. We are literally going into the inner dimensions of ourselves to find Gerben's patterning. And from that point, once we work on him together, he will become the ground zero, if you will, but in a positive sense in this case. Don't worry, Gerben. The ground zero, if you will, from which that standard energy, that correct patterning, if you will, the balanced patterning will start to emerge and flow into the rest of this reality. So I know that this has all been a little bit vague maybe for many of you, or a little bit metaphorical, but that's only because you are all so used to being in this third dimensional reality, which, as has already been explained in the last few weeks, is already in the fourth dimension anyway. So it is just all of humanity that is holding everything so dense, and that is holding everything so solid, let's say, so fixed.
Yes, indeed.
It is much more moldable than you think it is, and that's where we're going to go tomorrow.
Yeah, I look forward to that greatly. It's been a lot of information, of course, for everyone. It's a massive concept, so I wish everyone a peaceful night of integration and sweet dreams.
Yes.
And look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow at 7:30 at the same time.
We'll, considering Isis said same time,
Yeah.
yes, we'll do 7:30 again tomorrow, p.m., 7:30 p.m. CET, that is Amsterdam time. We'll be here again, and I hope you will all be as well. Meanwhile, I send you my love. I thank you for being with us tonight, and I look forward to our shared creation this night in Dreamtime, when you leave the playing field of Earth once again in order to come back tomorrow and create some more magic together. I'm very excited about what is unfolding, and I hope this will never stop. So, I love you. Namaste.